everybody, welcome back to Taku Katsu. I am your host, Patrick, joined by your other two hosts, Cori.
Welcome to Taku Katsu, where we talk about girls who have black hair, are tall, and are the prettiest girls around. This is the episode where we talk about... Azumanga Daioh, right?
No, this is the episode where we talk about bottom tier character Komi-san.
Tomozaki-kun?
No, Komi-san. Bottom tier character Komi-san.
Oh, I watched the wrong one. Vicky, what did you watch?
Hey, Vicky.
I think I watched the one where she's like a ninja and is half molded, but is awesome.
Is that pretty eye patch? Shit, what was it called?
Sabikui Bisto.
Oh no, not that one. No, there's a. All right, I'm gonna look it up. You continue.
And that voice you heard was from our top tier, Vicky-san.
I wish I were top tier. I'm maybe mid tier.
Oh.
Mid-low tier. I'm working on it.
I mean, Cori is definitely mid-tier or top tier, getting to top tier.
What? Okay. All right. Fuck you. Jubei-chan, the ninja girl, she has an eye patch. Has anyone watched this?
Oh,
it's
my
from
goodness.
1999.
Does she the one with does she does this?
No. So, I just remember it was such a funny anime. It was so special. But it was a normal girl, but she puts on a eye patch and it's called a lovely eye patch.
Chunibyo. The height, it's like middle school syndrome. And she was like, I am the dark leader, bring it back
to
dark powers.
Yes.
I
And
think so.
She doesn't actually need the eye patch.
Yes.
But she puts it on to become a ninja, and then they call it the lovely gantai, which is what just sticks in my brain for reasons, because phrases.
She does do this thing. But, I'm sorry. I think she
does
do this thing. Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Okay. I'll send
and
it to you
guys. This is radio, so nobody knows what this means. But,
she's infamous for it. Everyone will know. I'll send it.
Anyway, Jubei-chan, random reference because Vicky said ninja girl. Watch it. It's from 1999 and it is now over 23 years old.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So, that was a good show. I watched that. It was good. All right. So what did we actually watch?
Okay, what we're actually watching, we actually watched Komi-san Can't Communicate, which is about a girl who can't communicate. I mean, guys, the anime title tells you exactly what the show's about.
But it's not an isekai, so it's fine.
But it's not an isekai. Okay, that's the first check. It tells you what it is. Basically, they're in I don't know if it's like a private high school, but a well-established
private high school.
And our main male character, Hito, which sounds like Hito-bito, which basically sounds like person, is our generic boy who's trying to go to school and tries to blend in. However, he sit next to Komi-san, who is your ideal, beautiful girl character, I guess. But her problem is that she can't communicate, and it's just about a show about these two characters meeting, and probably romance will ensue. It's a high school rom-com, right? Am I using that correctly?
Probably.
It's probably a high school rom-com. But basically, Hito is trying to help Komi-san communicate and make friends with everyone else. Very familiar trope with a lot of anime that we can alluded to in our past watchings. But
so real quick,
yeah.
So his name is what again?
Hito, and Hito means person,
but not Hirohito.
No.
Would be a very different character entirely. Okay. No, it occurred to me while I was watching that she reminds me of the tall girl from Azumanga Daioh, whose name slips my mind. But not that character, but that character, but not that character.
No, she is.
Because she doesn't seem. I don't get the impression that she's like the idealized, they're good at grades and they're good at sports and they're beautiful and they're popular character. Because that's a common like, they're perfect. Like, stereotype or archetype, I guess. In anime, high school, everything. Every high school of Japanese or maybe even Korean, for all I know, has the character who's perfect.
They do all the sports and all the extracurriculars. Right. And great in school. Look great. Which
I will still say does not match with our American archetypes of high school at all.
No, not at all.
No. It's an interesting parallel to watching that. But no, I guess we can move on to our first topic. Vicky. Well, actually, let's go with Cori first. Cori, what do you like about the show?
Can we jumble this up a little bit? Do both of you have a lot of dislikes?
Not too much for me personally, but Vicky, I would assume Vicky might have more dislikes. But then because this is a rom-com, I don't know if Vicky likes.
Yeah, I want to flip it around a little bit and start with the dislikes because I don't have a lot.
Sure,
and then go to the likes because I feel like that's going to be.
I think we'll have more things to talk about in the likes.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, Vicky, dislikes.
Correct. Yeah, Vicky, what do you dislike? Let's switch it up.
Back to me. This is one of those cutesy anime where it's like you got the beautiful girl and the regular looking guy, just regular dude, and he's somehow gonna get. Dude. Yeah, like he's basically gonna somehow get this girl, and it's just it's so cute. It's just I don't have time for cute or like rom-com. The rom-comness is just like I love comedies, and sometimes I like romances, but when it's the rom-com, it's just like what specifically what I don't like about it is the character of Komi-san is like, it feels like an archetype where you have that beautiful girl and she doesn't need to say a lot. She just needs to be there and be pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I'm just tired of pretty girls. Maybe that's saying more about me.
Vicky, I'm not here to interrupt you.
Beautiful women out there.
No, Vicky, I'm not here to interrupt you, but I agree. I'm tired of beautiful women.
Like, it's just like, come on. Like, oh, she's so beautiful. She's the most, like, even the girls are like, she smells so nice. And
that was so weird.
That was so weird. I thought it was so creepy. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's my one big dislike is where everyone is just falling over themselves to, like, be in her orbit. But I don't know. I'm sure I'll think of some more things I don't like.
All right, let me go on. Remember. I'll take it back. Thank you.
Bring it in quarter.
What don't you like?
I agree. What I don't like. I agree. I feel like does this need to be a rom-com? Like, because I don't know if it is, but it probably is. It almost definitely is.
Probably.
Statistically, it is.
It literally starts off with like, I'm normal. I'm like, motherfucker, we know. Like, everybody's got to be a blank slate. Like, come on.
Where have I heard this story from?
Right. Does this need to be a rom-com? Could this be the same show, but with two dudes or two girls and no romance? I think it could. And I think it would be just as good. And I don't think everyone has to think, oh, she's so pretty. Case in point, Kuronuma from Kimi ni Todoke. Yes. Eventually, like, everyone's like, oh, yeah, she's great. But she's not perfect. She's weird. She creeps people out. People kind of tease her and make fun of her. Now, is she an anime character and is made to be attractive looking? Of course she is. And so the idea of making characters unattractive or at least boring looking, that would be a novel idea in most things. Cartoons, comic books, TV, everywhere. We don't do that. There's a reason we don't do that, whatever. But the fact is that, why is everybody like literally like sounding like they're smelling her and like, oh my God. Oh, she doesn't talk. That's no way that they didn't all figure that out eventually. So what the hell?
I don't know, because even the teacher was affected by her
Look,
beauty.
some teachers are going to be like, no.
I'm glad she was a female teacher too, because that would have been like, all right, she's affecting everyone. Her ability, she basically has the ability to be attractive. Some say a skill from other worlds. From an isekai. So
too beautiful to exist in this world.
Exactly. So
and if you happen to used to be a guy. So
now that I would watch that.
Hey,
did you watch that?
I did not watch it yet.
I'm still on episode 2.
What about you, Patrick?
Wait.
I got Corky.
You got more.
Things. Two more things. She needs therapy.
Yes.
She needs therapy. She needed therapy like 3 years ago. What are her parents doing? They have to have figured this out by now. But that's. We'll put that into the B-side when we get through our meat and get to the rice. Okay.
That'll come in episode
part.
12, where they learn about that. Her family or something.
Yeah. Well, and we know that season 2 is coming out like in a week.
Yep.
So popular show. And then secondly, I just want to say this because it comes up in my professional life. Antisocial. They didn't say that in the show. Antisocial, if I haven't said it before, does not mean that you're quiet and don't like to talk to people. Antisocial means against society. All right, that was my PSA.
What if she's just asocial?
Pro-social means you work with the rules or within the rules, or you bring benefits. So antisocial is just the opposite, right? If you're introverted or anxious and nervous, Komi-san, right? Anyway, so Patrick, what did you dislike?
Yeah, I came in this show thinking that this would be a show for me, and it kind of is. But the way they introduce the character, and like again, the main guy is like, I'm an ordinary, and she's the beautiful one, and literally she hasn't done anything to show she deserved the praise. Right? She's just literally beautiful, right? And that's it. We haven't seen her be good at sports or like be all that stuff, and she's also like, I don't know, it's very cliche, I guess. And I guess if I was younger, I would my monkey brain, my childhood high school monkey brain is like, yes, I'm in for this. But now that I'm older, I'm like, no, I could parse the two different things. They're two different emotions I'm feeling, and I'm like, I already know how this show is going to be like, and I would love it if it wasn't totally a rom-com, but I think that this is how the show's going to be.
Being quiet is not a personality type.
You don't say.
You're just anxious. You're just afraid.
Right.
Technically, she has no personality. Her personality is attractive and cute because she's scared.
Right.
She's like, oh, poor puppy.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if it might be saying more about me, but maybe as like, again, it's like a feeling of you wanting to take care of someone, right? Like if you see a baby, you want to like take care of everyone, make sure they're safe. And Komi-san is kind of like this blank character who's like kind of childlike in a sense and nervous. And so like, oh, you want to kind of be like, hey, are you okay? So like you kind of gravitate. I don't know if that's some psychology into that or if that's just kind of how I feel. But yeah, it's
I think that is Moe at its most.
Yeah, there you go.
Most distilled, because the Moe tropes of the last 10 years in the past were more and more about like cutesy little or girls that were small or something. But this is not literally that, but it is Moe in its most like cut and dry.
Right. And I think again that's the reason why I think that's the show is popular for 100% for her cat when she turns into a cat sometimes, right? She gets those ears and those eyes. I think that's cute. I personally like that. It's cute.
It is.
But
it is.
Like Cori said, the truth is there's no other attribute than that. Like there's no other attribute than just her being a cute cat. Like that's it. Like she doesn't talk, and that's fine. Like there are plenty of other characters who don't talk and express a lot more reasons why I like them. She's too much of a blank slate, in that much personality. And again, I guess the final reason is it's just so tropey, and I'm like, there are other shows that do this better, but I understand why this show is popular. So, yeah, I guess I don't really like
why?
it. It's so yeah. What do you like about the show, guys? Let's go to me. Let's bring it back to me again. So the reason why I like the show, again, she is cute. I cannot disagree. Like, if she's on a plushie, if she's like character figures, like, I think they would, like, she was just a cute character. The main character is too generic, whatever. He's any other, but again, this show is mainly for her, you know. So, understandably, like, with Kimi ni Todoke, I like the other characters as a cast. Even the main character, Kazuhaya and Koronoa are great. They're great as a pair, but this show is going to be like, main boy trying to help her get friends, and pretty much, right? And I guess I kind of like that. Yeah.
It's Love Hina, but with less violence so far.
Right.
And what's the word? Tsundere.
Yeah, she's not a tsundere, exactly. Like, she's pure moe to the dance. And I think that's, you know, that's why people like the show. But I do like a lot of the extra tidbits, like the level, like, he does a Mega Man jump and he dies, and then the Mega Man bits happen, right? Like the animation happens, like, that's great. Like, I like all the animation is beautiful, the music is great. Like, if I was watching this as episode 1, it felt like a movie. It was like when people were not, you know, the whole scene when she was just riding chalkboard. I was like, that was beautiful. Oh, yeah. That was beautiful, right? Storytelling wise, I think that was great. It looks good. It's animated well. I like the music even. It's basic piano track. All the elements of this show is great, but again, to bring it back to what I don't like about it is it's just so generic and kind of like, I get what they're doing, but I guess it's just not for me now, you know. But because other shows are so much better, I don't know why. It's hard to watch this show with new open eyes because of everything that we've seen in the past. But let's just say if I was in high school, I would probably be watching this show. Like, I would be loving it. Yeah. Let's go to you, Vicky. What do you like about the show?
I like the cuteness of the cat with, like, her face when she's, like, faced with trying to speak is great. Like, I love it. To say again, what I don't like is she just doesn't have any substance to be like, this person, this is why you should like her. It's kind of like we're just shown, going more into, like, my dislike, but it's kind of like we're just shown, like, she's beautiful and everyone should like her, and this is why you should like her too. But I kind of like that I like her more for those derpy moments where she...
Yes, exactly. You love her because when she turns to a character, like, they super deform her and whatnot, like those eyes features. But that's just that. It's not because of her. It's because I like chibi characters, you know? It's not... I'm not equating it to her.
We get more personality of her, like, running away really fast, or, like, freezing, or saying meow. I don't know how she didn't know there was a guy next to her that could overhear, but that was cute. And it was like a nice little window of, like, why you should like this character. What else do I like? The chalkboard scene.
Oh.
Just, the first episode feels like it should just be a movie. Like, it should just be part of a movie. And a movie version of this probably would go over better with me than, like, a slice of life each episode thing. But the big thing I like about this that saved it for me is, I think it was like after the opening that comes at the end, and they're like, actually, this school is full of weirdos.
Yeah.
That saved it for me.
True.
Yep.
See, that's I guess, like, that's a really big point, because that's gonna make you want to watch the show. Like, what?
Yep.
How are you gonna not tell me that?
Yeah, now it's like Danganronpa, but without so much murder. Maybe without any murder.
I was like, so much murder.
Okay, all right. You know what? There was a ninja. There was a ninja in the back.
There was the ninja.
What the hell is that ninja doing?
Yeah, yep. So that's kind of like why I like it. I'll throw it to Cori. What's, other than Komi-san's long black hair and
Yeah.
great looks.
Yeah. Okay, that's about it. Moving on.
So let's talk about the character design and the animation. So
yeah,
the animation was not. It was smooth, and it was like when she did stuff at like Mach 1, it was like, oh, okay, wow, she is moving.
She
it was
did it
really
beautifully.
well. Yeah, well, there was that too. It was very well animated. It was very good to watch for a show that's got like no fighting and action. Like they put some money in there to be like, let's show that, like solid animation, because they could have done it more simply, right? But they put in some effort. They planned their shots out. Like you keep talking about, you both said like it should be a movie. I was like, yeah, it's got some quality, some cinematic edge to it. I think it's a funny show, which is why I said, does this have to be a romantic comedy? This could just be a comedy and be done with it. Like you take the seriousness of her mental health and the funniness of everything about trying to address it and leave it. And so far, it could be that. But it could easily just be like, nope, now it's romantic comedy. Like, throw it out the window.
Looking into it, it's categorized as just a comedy slice of life. So no sign of romance yet, but it feels like there's like that's what it's leading towards, which I am like, how about?
Right. And I like romantic comedies. This is a well-known truth. But I don't need this one to be a romantic comedy for many reasons. And again, like Patrick said, if I was 14, I'd be all about this show for exactly that reason. But I'm not 14 anymore. I've seen this show 1,000 times. I've seen the best version of it I know about so far, which is Kimi ni Todoke.
Yes, sir.
So I'm cool on this being just a comedy because it's funny. Like, he got 3 experience points from understanding the problem. Like, that was fun. That was just fun, right? They had their little, like, fourth wall break early on. And he's like, I'm just going to make no waves. I'm going to read the room. Tadano was a coward. Like, yep,
yeah,
he's a coward. Like, when they wanted her to talk, there's a freaking mic. Who had a mic in there? What's the mic
they had a boom
like,
mic.
I'm like, what? Then a ninja? Why is there a ninja in class? And like, it wasn't like a sight gag. Person just literally was wearing a ninja costume and walked out to class like at lunchtime or whatever. I'm like, why is there a ninja? Which, by the end of the episode, they kind of tease like, oh, this is not a normal place, right? This is Friend Battle Royale. That's what this show is.
Friend Battle
Royale. Just, I got to get 100 more. Let's go. So they're going to be doing stuff with weird people. And I'm like, yeah. Great teacher Onizuka. Let's go. This is an interesting show with more to it, at least promise.
Yeah.
Now at the end of the episode. Because if it was just what it showed before that, because I felt like that was the end of the episode. And then it was like, oh, by the way, there's more. I'm like, what? Oh, okay. This could be interesting. Yeah, because it was a very like standard show up until that moment. You're like, oh, there's the twist that makes this more interesting. Because it was funny already. It kind of tugged at the heartstrings because anxiety is, real. But then it was like, oh, but there's going to be more. And it's like, I like more. You know why I like more? Ranma. Ranma brought lots of shit. It threw all sorts of stuff in there to mix it up. And I think Komi-san is doing a similar thing. And since it is so popular, it's probably something to be said about that.
Right. I think Cori brings a good point, because I do agree. It is funny. It does have those comedic beats. And again, like they do some video game tidbits here and there. And it's just extreme animation at certain parts. I think that's why you kind of mentioned Azumanga Daioh. I was like, yeah, I can see where the last clip of the episode is like, there's going to be a cast of wacky characters, because by the way, they maybe mentioned that. So, because we're only introduced with the 2 main characters, so like that's all we expected. And if it cut off out there, it would have just been a story about these 2. But the fact that they have such a interesting timing of even the comedy bit, because the comedy in it feels like it's more planned out. I feel like that's I hope that it will be more focused on the side characters and everyone else involved with these two.
Right.
Because again, there were extreme budget shots, like Nagatoro-san is about the girl, being mean to the guy, but those animations were like, there's a budget with those characters doing things. So I hope that, it'll get to that, extreme comedy scenes. And I hope that will be like that. But of course, they're gonna tack in some rom-com, right? I guess that's normal, but I hope that it is in the backseat of what is the show wanting to be, which is comedy with a bunch of wacky characters. And then the normal dude, which is, I guess, the only normal character, possibly. Mm-hmm. So.
I like the conceit that the school is interview only, so they choose weirdos on purpose. Let's just choose the people who are like how did she get into school? Right?
She can't talk.
Right.
That's true.
How did she interview? She just right. I love the physical comedy of her just shaking, right, and the hiccups that he thought was like crying or whatever. And like her face and her just big eyes, just like, I'm scared. And it's just good physical comedy animated without it being like pratfalls from like 1991. Right. So it was really good. It was kind of inventive. It was racing. She has racing thoughts like nobody's business. Like, but you don't know that until you see her write it on the board for 20 minutes and skip all of gym. So it's a good show. It's a good show. It's an interesting show. So I'm ready to watch Friend Battle Royale, the anime.
I will look forward to if it becomes more of an ensemble with more weirdos than just be like the one girl and the one guy that's like, my dream is now to help you. Like, it's just kind of like...
Yeah. But how it's got characters is because most characters have very normal-looking character design. Mm-hmm. Even the teacher was kind of whatever. But then there was the ninja. And then there was that sort of quick pan around the school of, like, 3 characters. Mm-hmm. And they had, like, complicated character design. Stuff that takes time to draw. You're not going to do that for a one-off character. So clearly they're going to be in the show long-term.
There was one character that was, like, literally in suit of armor. She had armor, legs, and arm. Yep. And I was like, what the hell? Like, this is a red herring?
That super caught my eye. And I was like, I want to know more about her. Like, what's her deal?
I think the first episode is kind of like, man, like, they presented such a good part of it, but I wanted the more of the twist. The ending part of it, obviously, like, tells you, like, continue to watch the show. This isn't what you think.
Right.
But then the way the first episode that presented it, it was like, this is just generic rom-com, right? Mm-hmm. And it could be that, but the selling point of why I should watch it is, which is the other weird characters, and they're all weirdos. Like, I wish they could have, alluded. I guess they did allude to that with the ninja now that I talk about it, right? It's like, but then to me, that was just a gag. Like, that's just, he's not showing up back in the show again, maybe. That's just a gag. I hope he does.
Yeah. But, well, I would have assumed if he was just not in the background to walk away, that it was a gag.
Yeah.
But he was still there. And I'm like, huh. So that's my assumption, is that he's part of the weird cast. And he was your first taste. And you weren't supposed to, like, know that until you knew that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I think this show is probably better if you watch 2 episodes. Again, if it was a movie, this is like first 20 minutes and then the next midpoint you get to see the cast characters. So I think this does feel like, the trope of give it 3 episodes. I feel like this is the true give it 3 episodes.
I think that as a first episode, it's not perfect, but it's really close to what it needs to like show you what you need in a first episode to tell you if you're going to be interested. Because I think the only thing we're missing, and this is my primary complaint, is she has no personality. So I kind of want to know what her personality is. What is she like at home? If they would have showed us what she's like at home for like 30 seconds, like communicating or having opinions, or she's got, Agresco pictures on her wall or whatever, then I'd be like, okay, she has interest and likes and things she's good at and bad at. And then we go on. And then we do the rest of the show. I think that would have helped to give us an idea of what it is about the character that is so good other than the superficial. She's pretty, she smells good, and she's so cool.
To be fair, we get a little bit of that with, like, her looking at the cat, and she's about to pet it, but it's gone. And then she's got the little cat, like, stuffy at the desk. And just from her talking about, like, 3 years of middle school, wanting to talk to people, but being scared to, we don't get, like, a direct look at her personality, but it is a very different way of looking at someone and learning, like, what it is about them that makes them unique. And it's a sad way, too. Like, that's just, like, the chalkboard thing was just sad. And then it was laughing again because she just had hiccups, but it was really, like, sad because it was like, she hasn't made any friends and doesn't know how to talk to people, but here's one person that somehow
fell into it.
Mm-hmm.
Complete accident.
Like Danganronpa, maybe his specialty really is reading the room. And
that has to be.
He tried to leave. He tried to leave. He did not try to help. He was like, I don't know what else to say. I'm out.
No, that's his ability. That's his ability. He can read the room. I mean, the whole idea of Komi-san, Komyu, and he even says like, "Oh, communication." Like, it's just the name is just like, "Oh, name drop." There we go.
Yeah. He said the thing.
But yeah, I think
credits.
The show is. I think this show is. It is good. It's animated. I love lots of parts of it. I think our complaints is more of a tropey, overplayed thing rather than the actual judgment of the show, because that last part of it is, the twist. I think that's gonna really sell people on watching the show. With that being said, I will continue to watch the show because obviously I think they're doing something right with season 2 coming out, and I need to know more of these weirdos. So, what about you, Vicky?
Being that this is on Netflix and very easily watched and binge watched, I might give it another episode, but unless it turns into like a My Hero Academia situation where it's like you get your favorites and want to see more about it, I don't know, but I'll give it another watch.
What was it? Was it just like too cutesy for you, or too generic?
It's very heartwarming, and I don't watch anime to have my heart warm.
Oh, there it goes. Because it's not real. It's not real, right, Vicky? This isn't real.
Yeah.
It's all a lie.
Yeah, it's just kind of like this.
This doesn't happen in real. This doesn't happen in the real world. This is impossible.
Yeah, it's just.
You can watch some weird stuff that does happen in the real world.
Yeah, it's so. It's not even quite feel good. Sure. It's just. It's heartwarming and endearing, and it's like, get it away.
Get this straight stuff away from me.
How dare you bring sunshine and light into my mind?
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, cool. Interesting. Well, interesting point you made there, Vicky. I'm glad you shared that with us. You, Cori, what do you continue to watch the show?
Yeah, I think I'm going to watch 2 or 3 more episodes, and then if it gets super harem-y or something, I'm going to probably dip out. But if it's kind of just like, friend of the week, I think I could watch this a couple more. Especially, again, Netflix can be convenient at times. And you can watch it in Japanese or English. I watched it in Japanese. What about you, Pat?
Yes, I watched it in Japanese. I will watch it in English just to hear it. Because I'm interested to hear that.
Vicky?
Japanese, but now that I think about it, I could probably put this on in English and just be like, have it on in the background.
And that is a way to enjoy it. Now, I do think that you would miss out a lot of the physical gags.
Yes.
Because I think this is a high physical gag show.
That's true.
So if you're not going to watch it and you're going to watch it in English, you're going to hear the physical gag, but you're not going to know it. And again, Komi-san can't communicate. So You're gonna have to read.
There's gonna be a lot of silence in the show. Lots of silence.
That's true.
So you have to read something.
Here's
You
one.
have to put effort into watching it.
Guys, here's one thing Vicky doesn't like about the show. You have to read. you have to watch it. You have to actually pay attention. You can't put this in the background. Like, you gotta watch it. Oh, man.
If it's not to your taste, it's kind of like a dredge of like, I gotta watch it and pay attention to stuff. And I even think about it now, I'm just like, maybe I won't watch another episode. But I'm going to watch another one, if only to see the ensemble begin to get introduced and see how it progresses with one new friend.
I like that Cori.
It's so cute.
It is cute. But I like what Cori said is friend of the day or friend of the week. Mm-hmm. That's a great way to make the show. It's just funny to think about that.
Yeah, as long as it's funny and there's progress and it doesn't like go into romantic comedy territory, I think I can keep watching the show until it does that. If it stops being funny and it starts becoming a romance, I'm like, I don't care. I don't care at all. Tadano, I do not care. Komi, go get a therapist, please. Like, that's where my mind goes if I get serious about the show at all. So as long as it's funny, I'm like, this is great. But
now I'm just wondering how she's gonna make friends. Like, is she just gonna be the silent one of the friend group that's just kind of there? Because that hits a little too close to home. Where it's like everyone else is friends, and you just happen to be there. Mm-hmm. And so you're like a friend by associate, but not like on the call list. But you are because you're part of the... Anyway.
Vicky, when you say that hits close to home, what do you mean by that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, everyone here, I think we've kind of... I mean, it's a natural thing to be in a group and you're just like there. I mean, that's how that works sometimes. It feels...
Just high school was a rough time. High school, elementary school, man.
3 years.
Middle school was fine.
Well, elementary school encompassed middle school.
Yeah. Just basically, what you're saying is school was hard socially.
Yeah, it wasn't until college where it was like, friends where I belong, and not just like, oh, here's some people that I can stick next to because we all have classes and sort of get along.
All right,
we got along.
So let's get to the B-side. So first off, next week we're going to torture Vicky and watch My Dress Up Darling.
Oh no!
If she likes it, then we're gonna watch the whole thing together. But if she doesn't like it, then same as usual.
On the record, not off the record, but on the record.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be tortured. I'm gonna be tortured as well watching this show, Vicky. So you're not gonna be alone. I'm gonna be tortured too.
Is it tortured because you like it so much?
No. It's tortured.
Yeah, this is not a Hige Hero situation.
No, it's not. It's gonna feel... No, it's not. It's not.
I love that show too much. It's terrible. I'm never gonna watch it again, but it was really fun to watch. But yeah, we're gonna watch that. So as is tradition, I will ask questions and see if that takes us 15 minutes to talk about one thing or 30 seconds. So first off, I'm gonna swerve to the second question and then come back to the first. Why do you watch anime? What got you started in anime? Why do you watch it now? Because obviously I watch more anime than both of you combined. So reasons. But Patrick, why do you watch anime?
Well, I think everyone has been there watching some Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. I mean, that's like the gateway drug, right? And then someone comes and someone in your friend group brings a bandana with a weird sign on it. And you're like, what is that? And possibly that sign has an X through it, a line through it for some reason. It looks like a little leaf symbol. What is this? And so Naruto came into mind, and I think that back in the day was like a gateway drug. Like, oh, there's this show, and then there's cool fight scene with Rock Lee and Gara. Like, who are these characters? And they show you that little bit more of that, and you're just like, oh, I guess this is when you watch anime, right? Or when you're on a site or like even before YouTube or when YouTube was in the making, all those suggested stuff. Times. Yeah, all those suggestions and things around it, you're just like, oh, what is this show? And I think that's kind of how Naruto was probably the bigger part. But of course, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the best show. Best high school show with the card games and Pokemon too, right? But I think Naruto was the main one that was just like these cool fight scenes. Like this is people were like, this is better than Dragon Ball Z. Like the fight scenes are good, There's actually it's hand combat and stuff. So people were arguing. You had that battle versus DBZ versus Naruto. But
I think if you ignore filler for both shows, Naruto is better than Dragon Ball Z. Like, in all of the ways that matter, it's better. As far as, like, what's the, like, best known in the world, it's going to be DBZ. But DBZ was really, really good up until they killed Frieza. And then it kind of dipped, and then it rose, and then it dipped, and then it rose, and it kind of repeated the same storylines and slightly twisted it. And Naruto has not been around that long, so it can't do that quite yet. Boruto, from all I've heard, ain't doing great. Like it's making money, but it's not that good as far as I've heard. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just like whatever, continuing on a popular franchise, a la
like the
Dragon
continuation
Ball Super,
of
Dragon Ball GT.
GT was a little bit rough. Yeah.
Inuyasha.
Inuyasha.
Is it Hime?
Yeah. Yasahime. Yeah.
Yasahime.
Yeah, I watched 4 episodes of that, I think, and was like, I'm good.
That's a good sign.
Sequel to make a sequel.
Right. But I think after Naruto, and I think just watching stuff like around it, adjacent, I discovered what is it?
Higurashi.
Not Higurashi, but I actually before Higurashi, I was high school romance shows like rom-coms. I watched the show called Canon. I believe it's called Canon, and then that show was the deep drug, and that like made me during high school in high school's rom-coms and stuff, and that was it. After that, Higurashi, of course, and I was like, oh, interesting.
It's canon, but with murder.
Yeah, and the mystery and time dispersion loops like Steins Gates and
as I like to say, timey-wimey bullshit.
Yes. But yeah, I think the beginning it's just word of mouth from other people. I don't think I would ever discovered it personally, besides watching Sailor Moon, Yu-Gi-Oh! But I was like, that was on TV, but I didn't actively seek it. It was dropped upon me with people introducing to me. So, but yeah, the origin story is Naruto. I think the origin story for a lot of people is Naruto.
I think the late millennials, I think Naruto makes sense. If you were born late 90s, hey, I mean, I introduced Naruto to my brother, and that was kind of like me trying to be like, come on. Like, he's seen a little bit, but I'm like, Naruto.
You know what? It's the book of Naruto. You're just like, everyone, I have this book of stuff. Everyone come here, the gospel of Naruto. I'm trying to get more followers. And I was converted. They would.
Man, nice. That English dub, jeez Louise. Oh, I can't.
Vicky, you killed it.
I can't.
But literally during the 90s, that was literally like, you gotta watch the show. You gotta watch the show, yo. It's so good. I'm like, all right. But you, Vicky, what was your origins of why do you watch anime? Right, Cori?
Mm-hmm.
For me, because I'm a little bit older than you, so it wasn't Naruto, it was, the DBZ and Sailor Moon.
Yep.
But that was kind of like scattered in with amongst like American cartoons, so there was no like difference between anime and cartoons on TV.
Amen.
So for me, my big because if it was on TV, that was just cartoons. Yep. But for me, my big anime was my uncle. When I was like 8 or 9, I watched Fist of the North Star.
Oh my god,
it was so good.
That's wild.
8 years old though.
Yeah,
man, I was like, that show is a bit much for an 8-year-old in the 90s.
Oh, that wasn't even all of it. I also watched Wicked City. when I was 8 or 9.
You shouldn't be watching that show. You shouldn't be watching that movie.
It's from the 70s, I believe, and it is not rated. And it should be rated.
It should be rated.
R, because it was... I think at the time my grandma... I don't know how my uncle was getting... But my uncle's like 14 or 15 years older than me or something like that. So it was kind of like around this... No, 10? 11? My uncle's like an older brother figure, so I don't know how he got a copy of it, but I almost wonder if his mom, my grandma, was just like, oh, it's cartoons, you can have it. And then, like, I still don't know how I got to watch it, being under 10.
Unsupervised.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, back in the day, we had something called VHS tape. And
yeah, these were on VHS. It was just recorded. Fist of the North Star was recorded on VHS. Wicked City was the VHS. And I think it came from Blockbuster. I think he bought it from Blockbuster.
Oh, he didn't just rent it. He bought it.
Yeah. And
true fan.
From there, it was watching just more cartoons of that style.
Mm-hmm. And
then Toonami happened, and it was just like game over. Toonami was the golden grail of watching anime.
Toonami was basically how you got teenagers to keep watching anime, while like WB was how you got everyone interested in things that were anime without telling them what it was.
Mm-hmm. It really was, because everything was cartoons. Toonami was probably the first place I heard of it called anime, and like learning that it was made in Japan, and it's for various age ranges. But Fist of the North Star, man, that was the original One Punch Man.
Wow.
No, he didn't really punch. He poked. He was more like a one poke man.
Yeah.
You could punch those points.
Like fake Bruce Lee ass. Anyway.
Oh, that's good.
All right.
What was your origin story?
So I did not know what anime was for a really long time. I think I learned what it was when I was in college. I'm pretty sure I did. Like, I knew
really
they were So here's the basics. Here's how it worked. I saw Pokemon and Dragon Ball, and I was like, cool. And I saw Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm like, also cool.
Yep.
And I was like WB, right? I'm like 13.
Digimon?
Right?
Oh,
Digimon I never really got into, but I knew people who were super into Digimon. Then I got to Toonami, and Toonami was showing all of the, the hits, right? Your Cowboy Bebop, your Trigun, your...
Tenchi
Muyo.
Outlaw Star.
Outlaw Star.
So Cowboy Bebops.
All things I bought because I have money now. But were like at least $60 for 12 episodes back then. Like, those were good prices. Anyway. Mm-hmm. And so, all of that. And then also Gundam Wing, which actually isn't that good, but I loved it at the time because it was cool. It really was cool in my head at the time, but you rewatch it now and it's slow as shit. Mm-hmm. It's just slow. Like, the action scenes are cool, but there's like one action scene every 3 episodes. It's really slow. There are better Gundam anime. Moving on. I didn't know what anime was. So I went to school and I was like, oh, this is really cool cartoon. It's all the Hmong kids. I was like, it's really new. It's called Dragon Ball. And they all looked at me like,
wow.
What is wrong with you? What? I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me, little tiny Hmong children. I had no idea what anime was, but I just was like, Dragon Ball's cool. It's on TV. And they're like, that's old. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's new. It's on TV. So that sent me down a freaking hole of like, what is Dragon Ball? And I found websites and all this shit. And I started like kind of piecing it together, but I didn't no one told me. That was the problem. Right?
Right.
No one told me what it was. I just started to be like, okay, Dragon Ball is made in the past, and now we get it today, and it comes from somewhere else. And so then I go online, I'm like, oh, Japan makes it. Cool. Dragon Ball. My favorite website for Dragon Ball stuff was called da.blackgoku.com. And it just had a reskin color of Goku as a black man. And I'm like, damn right. And so I fucking love that website. It was back in the day where you had forums and shit. And it was just, and you could get your little badges and they could be animated. You had to get the right person to do it for you. And it was a whole thing. Internet culture, early 2000s, very different from today. And then I went to college and I met, my best friend and all this other stuff. And we started downloading Naruto off of like LimeWire and BitTorrent. And I learned all about BitTorrent and all that stuff. And I was like, I know what anime is now. And that is how it started. And I have been a fiend for anime since.
I'd say part of...
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'd say part of my growth with anime was also, as a kid, playing RPGs. Especially the Japanese art style ones, because it was like playing an anime. But wow. I can't imagine like having gotten to college and not knowing what anime is.
Like, that was the thing. Like, I technically knew that stuff came from Japan. And I knew what Toonami was. And I knew that was a pun on tsunami. But I didn't quite have anyone to be like, this is what anime is. And for the most part, there was nobody in high school I talked to about anime at all. Now that I think about it. Right. Like, it was just me being like, Dragon Ball's cool. That dude's got a Dragon Ball shirt. I'm broke. That was it. It was like, I wasn't buying it. I wasn't renting it. I was just watching it on TV. And I wasn't talking to anybody about it. And from that one experience, I was like, never going to talk about Dragon Ball to anybody again. Because I was like, you shut me down. I don't know what to say anymore.
Here's one thing, too. Did you ever, like, physically play, like, a Pokemon, like GBA? Like, do you have, like, Game Boy Color and you were playing Pokemon?
All of that. I played Pokemon Red and Blue, Yellow.
Okay.
I had, eventually, but this is after college, I was playing all this stuff. But as far as games, like, I would get maybe one game a year. Like, I wasn't making any money. I wasn't working, and my mom wasn't exactly giving us money all the time. So I didn't ask for much. I asked for what I needed, and then, like, one other thing. Like, that was my mentality as a kid and more or less as an adult. But, so it was always when I was like, it's just a little side thing. So then when I got to college and it's like, hey, you can download this. Don't talk to anybody about it. And then it was like, okay, I'm going to download everything.
Yeah, no, I think I mentioned, the reason why I mentioned that, like, video game culture as well with Yu-Gi-Oh! Card culture. Like, if you're involved in that group, you're always involved in an anime adjacent. Because, with Yu-Gi-Oh, you cannot. Well, you can play the game without watching anime, but if you play the game and you don't watch anime, you were like, that's a weird one because like you don't know the anime in the show, weird. So like it's weird, right? If you play Pokemon without watching the show, you're like, who are you? You just want to play Pokemon? And so the idea was that if you were involved with the culture, even with the video game, trading Pokemon cards, trading the actual Pokemon, and trading Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and like talking to your group, like I think those were the best times of the childhood, was just being involved with those groups and having fun with those. And then since you're involved with them, you talk about anime because it's like adjacent to it. It's that the same group of what it's your people, and so you can talk about whatever you want, comfortable trading and all this stuff. And one of those people will know what other anime are, so that they become the drug. They supply the drug to everyone else to slowly do their own gateway drugs.
I didn't know. I didn't have people. That's the problem. I played. Here's what happened. Here's what really realistically. I got the games, played the games. Didn't have anybody else to trade the games with. I had the cord and everything. Yeah. I knew like one person. We traded like one time. Done. Oh, I see.
How'd you get games?
The card games? Wait. Shit, trade to myself, man. Trade to myself. Give me another Game Boy. Because that's a whole other story. Anyway. I did that though. I did trade to myself.
Yeah.
Look, my sad life. Okay. But the card games, I played that with my brothers.
I see.
Like that was it. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! With my brothers. I played Pokemon with my brothers. End of story. That was it. And then I stopped because I'm like, card games. I don't got no more cards.
Yeah. They do cost a lot of money.
I sadly did not have any anime friends in high school. I played Magic the Gathering with a friend's brothers.
Ooh.
And, like, I would be so jealous of, like, people playing Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! And talk about anime. I even joined an anime after-school club. Made no friends in it.
Ooh, that's...
So, like, the next time I, like, publicly was talking anime was when you guys were talking about Genshin.
What I'm asking is, Komi-san, did you forget to communicate in high school? Is that what happened?
Was that for a good 3 years until you went to college?
Kind of. It was more like
they were cooking.
I stuck out everywhere I was. Like the kids playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, they were Monk kids, and even the kids in the like anime club, it was like white Monk kids. And, like, being a tall black girl, didn't really make friends.
This girl, watch out!
I was about to say, you're not wrong. I was going to say, yeah, we're not particularly friendly with that either, I guess. You know, I guess. Not me, but just the group culture-wise, I guess.
Yeah.
It's very insular.
Yeah.
But it's changing nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's mainstream. Like,
it's cool.
Anime used to be so... Yeah, I guess it is now. Anime used to be so underground that they didn't do... like, they would chop it up and not use subtitles. Like, back in when the Gold Star days when they did, like... oh, God. This is, like, 60s, 70s. They would take an anime. I can't remember the name of them. I just remember the company that did it was Gold Star or something like that. Yeah. And they would bring it over... God, I know the anime, but I can't remember my history, my anime history.
Talking about, like, 4Kids?
No. 70s. We're talking way back when we had to import VHSs from across the ocean and then record them on magnetic tape to send them to other people, hand labeled so that other nerds in America could pass them around.
Ooh.
Like, really, $100 VHSs type shit. Because I remember when I was a kid, I was at this Target, and Target was selling Dragon Ball Z VHSs, and they were like extremely expensive, and they were like 3 episodes. 3 episodes. VHS, like $40 at least. It was insane. But back in the day, they would take an episode and they would just chop it up and make a new show out of it. Kind of like Power Rangers. They would just take footage and chop it up, and then it's a show now, and they would rename it, and they would do all this other stuff. What's that anime where they're mechs but they're singing?
Macross?
Macross. Yeah.
That's a
like a Macross. That's one where they would like chop it up and put it together, but that's not the one I'm thinking about, but that's an example. But by the 80s, it was a little easier, but it was still like things like Urusei Yatsura were super popular in Italy of all places. But in America, like it was, it was cartoons. But then by the 90s, right, especially mid-90s, that's when Pokemon happened. And Dragon Ball had already kind of started in America, and they had their little dubs of Dragon Ball. But then Dragon Ball Z hit, and that was like 95, 96, 97, 98. It was just like, it hit like a train. And then it just, bam, it exploded. So between Pokemon and Dragon Ball, you covered the major youth segment. Right.
And Sailor Moon and Power Rangers.
And Sailor Moon, right? So you covered a lot of the demographic of people who were going to ask someone to buy it for them. And that's where anime started to go from being like super underground to like a little bit underground. And then people were like judging it for being what it is, which is hypersexual, or at least maybe not hypersexual. That's an exaggeration. But more willing to more willing to depict things that in American culture we don't do, right? There's a lot of like nippleless nude people in anime, right? Like just a lot of like no genitalia having people in anime. I mean, in Dragon Ball, Goku and Gohan at different times pee on somebody. In the original, the penis is visible, but they're like kids, so it's like. We don't do that. Right. In Dragon Ball, Bulma.
Oh boy. Don't bring up the scene.
There are many scenes of Bulma being basically sexually harassed by Master Roshi, to put it simply. There's a lot of stuff. There's a part in Dragon Ball where Oolong, the pig character that nobody knows because they didn't watch Dragon Ball, wishes for panties, and then they fall into space.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where Goku checks Bulma's, like, if she's a guy or
bloomers.
Girl.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, wait a minute.
He pats on her.
Yeah, he does this. I was like, wait a minute. Because Goku's like young Goku, and this is Dragon Ball without the Z. Like, old school Toriyama. Like, he's a kid. He's like, I'm a boy. Isn't everyone else a boy? And, they go places.
Where's your tail?
That's how it is.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, man. So then by the 90s, like, it basically gets to a point where it's not mainstream, but it's growing. Right? And then we have people who are downloading anime or passing it along or whatever. Then by the 2000s, we start getting like the ability to put it on the internet, to stream it even, or directly download it, which is really like big in the 2000s. But BitTorrent was really the way to go. Mm-hmm. Then by the time you get to 2010, YouTube exists. And streaming just becomes easier and easier and easier. And BitTorrent becomes harder and harder and harder and harder to the point where it's basically impossible. And that's like ignoring all the legal ramifications.
And then Crunchyroll came along.
And then Crunchyroll, which
as a provider,
was a dubber. They were a subtitler for a while. Mm-hmm. And then they found a way to finagle themselves into a business proposition to pay to get that directly legally to them. And now they've been bought by Sony, and I'm still mad about it. Mm-hmm. But I watch anime because that was my origin. But why I like new ideas. I like seeing stuff different, I like the idea of, like, for instance, I'm reading Crust of the Stars because my book came in. Or Banner of the Stars. I forget which one it is now. Banner of the Stars 2. Anyway, I'm reading the second omnibus. And it's a really cool anime that came out years ago, like decades ago probably. And it's just about... here's how I'll get people to think that Crest of the Stars is cool. Take The Expanse and then accelerate the entire society of The Expanse. Let's call it 4,000 years into the future. All of the Belters are now genetically modified, blue-haired, elf-eared, but really intelligent humans. But they're genetically modified to be different and look different so that they operate better in space. And now they have their own, like, worlds and armadas. And humanity has also spread out, but they're not genetically modified. They live on a planet, on planets, and the Belters live out in space. That is Crest of the Stars at large. But there's a character story there and all this other stuff, and it's really good. I like that. That's cool. It just is cool. So I like new things, new ideas, time travel, science fiction, all that stuff. And then sometimes I just want to watch something that makes me laugh or, whatever. I can watch my episode 2 of that show we don't talk about.
Oh boy. Episode
every now and again. So yeah, that's what I watch anime for. What do you watch anime for, Vicky? Because you obviously aren't watching it for the rom-coms.
I got you. No, I'll let you go this time, actually.
I like the medium and how it's so many different stories, and it's almost like watching a video game, which I'm just realizing now is like why watching people let's play is so entertaining. 100%. Is because it's like watching anime with commentary built in. Like I remember playing games and talking with my family while I'm playing a game. So it's like anime is watching the story, and you don't get to interact with it as much, but I just love the stories. And the art style is, like, I always say if it's too old, I don't want to watch it because it's, like, painful to watch. But depending on the story, it's like, it's worth it.
So, okay, I'll ask a follow-up question after. But yeah.
Me? All right. I think it's fun to learn a lot of concepts, right? Like, I love horror stuff, so I always want to watch something with ghosts. And so I learn about all the Onryos, and like Ringu was part also a fascination with it as well. Like, just these weird things and ideas and concepts from foreign concepts out of the United States. So anime was basically, here are a bunch of foreign concepts because we're not familiar with it at all. Like, but besides learning stuff, I think the easiest reason, I think for a lot of people, is just wish fulfillment, right? It's just like, I want to be this character. Self-insert. Wouldn't it be cool if I had powers? Wouldn't it be cool if I had a, quote unquote, unharem? But the point is that you put yourself in these shoes and you just enjoy the stories. Like, I would have done this differently. Or, you know what? I would have done exactly that. That's character. My man, he knows what he's doing. Or, you kind of feel like you have a certain relationship. Especially when you're younger too, right? I guess when I'm older now, you can separate the two. But when you're younger, man, you are a Pokemon trainer, you are a Digidestined, and you are a Yu-Gi-Oh player sending people to the Shadow Realms. Like, it's just basically that easy. And for girls with Sailor Moon, they are the Sailor Princesses. Hey, I watch Sailor Moon. Great show.
Usagi is such a whiny brat.
Hey, wish fulfillment. Moving on.
Okay, so my follow-up question is, when anime is not cutting it, what do you turn to instead? Because obviously we don't only watch anime. We don't only play Japanese video games. We don't only play Japanese card games, so on and so on and so forth. And I don't even mean like, your Korean or your Chinese like anime offshoots. What do you do that's not anime? Because I like comics in general. Huge Spider-Man fan, as you can tell by my displays. But I really like Marvel specifically. I like Spider-Man very much. But I like Marvel in it because of its grounded kind of, not relatively grounded tone of putting real life problems into the comic book and then trying to address them in a comic booky way. Again, new ideas, that's where I get them, and movies, there's two kinds of movies I like. I like the movies that make me think, and I like the movies that are just dumb fun. But most of the time, I like the movies that make me think, because dumb fun is dumb, and I don't like dumb stuff that much. Just a little bit here and there, spice it up. And TV is the same way. Like, I find most anime TV movies to be like completely uninteresting. But every now and again, there's a cool one. It's like, like that one that came out during the pandemic, the Nolan film about time travel.
Tenet?
Oh my goodness,
yeah.
Tenet. I'm so conflicted with that show.
I enjoy the movie. I don't think it's like perfect, but it's good. Like I think it's got, I don't know, maybe it's pacing or some other issue. It's got an issue, but it's worth watching 100%. And Nolan makes good movies, even if they're weird and hard to understand, or just
especially if they're weird and hard to understand.
So yeah, Vicky, what do you watch instead of Japanese related media?
What do I consume?
Yeah.
Other than Japanese media. See, that's hard because if I'm not watching anime, I'm playing games, and odds are it's made by a Japanese company, and it's like, and if I'm not playing a Japanese game, back in the day when I had very like disposable income, I would buy manga, and generally that would be BL, and I would look for BL games. So it's like I didn't have anime outlet for that, so that was my like collection of things. But if I wasn't doing those things, playing games, like constantly playing games.
Did you know
even nowadays?
Did you know that there's an anime about a guy getting stuck in a dating sim?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, that comes out.
And I was thinking of
it comes out next season.
yeah, that was one of the ones. But I was like, it's not cute. It's not cutie enough.
I thought you were talking about the guy who gets into a demon lord, and boy, oh boy.
Listen, the manga for that is so good.
Oh, I believe
it's so much better than the 7-minute episode we got.
Oh boy!
But I love Marvel. I grew up watching X-Men, the cartoon.
Mhm.
So
Good choice.
good.
Good choice.
My dad had the old
intro's the
comics. Hmm It's like it's iconic. And it's kind of like the difference between watching Marvel versus DC. I like the stories that Marvel had more than the storylines that DC went for. But, sometimes I'd watch some Batman here and there.
Batman the animated series.
That is the best.
So good. So good. So yeah, it's generally I'm watching cartoons of one format or another. Whether it's like animated from Japan or America or like in video game format. Because I like stories.
Yeah, I think that's a big, for me as well. Like, I go to YouTube and watch Let's Plays, and I just watch people go through. Like, I'm not gonna be able to play through 50 hours of Death Stranding. But I'm gonna watch an 8-hour movie
so good,
of Death Stranding. An 8-hour super quick, only cutscenes is like 8. I mean, I might be making that up 8 hours, but it felt like 8 hours. And that's including every cutscene, every conversation, like the memes. Like, I can't walk.
Oh, you know
hours.
what? You know what? I got something for you. You should watch like the 100 hours of cutscenes from Final Fantasy 14. How about that?
Oh, see, hey, 14 is actually that. Again, I played 14 Final Fantasy 14 when it came out. I spent my first 1 month subscription, beat the game. I love the story. I wanted more, but I was not willing to pay next month's subscription.
Look. The story has completed.
I think it's great. I gotta watch it.
As soon as 6.1 comes out, the next story will start. So now's the time. You just pick up.
Talk about an
from
anime.
The end of 10 years,
Season
man.
2's coming
10
out.
years. And you just go. And honestly, I'm not saying you should watch the whole thing. That's a lot. But it ain't bad. Like,
I'm sure it's great.
If you watched all the voice cutscenes, you'd still miss something, but you get most of what you needed, and it probably would take you 20 hours, but I don't know.
Yeah.
They'll make a movie out of it.
Oh, man. But
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding is
the fact
fun.
that you brought that one up.
It's fun.
It's so fun.
It may not make all the sense, but all the fun, wackiness. It's just the concepts. If you want to talk about concepts, and even if they don't really make sense, you're just like, you got to be in it. You are in it to watch. It's just wow.
It's like Christopher Nolan and M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh my goodness!
Made a game with Lynch. What's his David Lynch?
And we're talking about we're talking about the good and bads of both directors, like the good and bad of M. Night Shyamalan, good and bad of David Lynch. Like you get the goods, but you also get the bad turbo parts. So like it's all wrapped up into the badness of the game.
And you both piqued my interest and completely killed my interest in Death Stranding.
No, it's basically
cool.
it's a walking simulator.
Nope.
The baby though, the baby. Why does it?
Baby.
Why the baby?
Look,
the ending is so cute. It's like if he did that shit a tear at the ending, you'd be like, "Oh come on, man, you have no heart."
I have enough problem watching shows about taking care of people who don't need me to take care of them. I don't need to watch a Let's Play or worse, play a game where I'm taking care of a baby as the dude from The Walking Dead.
You're not taking care of the baby.
The baby's taking care of you.
The baby's taking care of you.
That's the metaphor.
I don't want to play. I have 50 games I've bought over the last 10 years. I'm good.
Listen,
it's so good.
You are going to buy Death Stranding.
No,
I will send you my copy of Death Stranding.
I'm not playing.
It's on PS4.
I will send you the video, the
8-hour
video. You better watch
Don't do it.
If I'm going to watch 12 episodes of Katana Gatari, which is 12 hours, when I do, I'm going to send you Death Stranding in one video.
We're going to, before the end of the year, one a month.
Bullshit.
Oh, man. All right. But no, Death Stranding is good.
I want to give you 11 more hours of a good show. You want to give me 50 hours of a video game or 8 hours?
No, not 50 hours, 8 hours.
Game?
Let me give 6 hours, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, just watch Jacksepticeye play. Probably the best Let's Player to watch play it.
Just watch the cutscenes. Don't watch the Let's Play. Watch the movie version. Type in Death Stranding movie on YouTube, and I'm sure it'll be there. But besides that, yes, YouTube is just... I go into the deep rabbit hole of just watching indie games, right? And the stories. because they're just underground, right? It felt like I'm trying to watch anime again, or trying to find anime, right? Because when the first intro is like you're discovering new things, but then eventually those indie games become mainstream, and that's great to see those games get into the mainstream, and you're like, oh yeah, now it's official on Steam and people can buy it and all this stuff, and that's great. So the discovery process of things on YouTube is really the rabbit hole, because there is too many things to watch.
Absolutely.
Then anime. If anime isn't cutting it, I'm like, watch YouTube, or next best thing, create stuff. Try to create stuff. So that's why I do music or make board games or whatever. Just you want to create that something that makes other people feel the way that I watch anime. And
like recording a podcast about anime?
Yeah. We do this.
Yeah.
Or if I don't get to play as much as I wish I could, but playing D&D or watching people play it, love Critical Role. Shout out to my critters.
We gotta watch that show. That they made an animated. Didn't they make an
Vox
animated
Machina? The Legend of Vox Machina.
You gotta watch a show about that as
well. We will make an episode on that because it is so good. Also, Dimension 20. Like, I've paid for Dropout now just to watch more Dimension 20. And usually I'm not the kind of person that will pay for things.
Wow. Is that why you're getting audited?
No. That was just because I did a no-no, apparently, that they don't really talk about.
they don't talk about it. It had a 2 in it. Yeah, it had an episode 2 in it. You don't talk about it.
Absolutely. They absolutely did.
All right. Here's another PSA. If you are going to get loans, don't get that many at the same time. Be careful.
Yep. Be careful.
Broadly. Leave it there. Check out what you're supposed to do. Ask some people before you do it. They definitely told you. Not only do they tell you, okay, never mind. So, let's
Cori, I read your line clear, Cori. Learn to communicate, hey?
Like Komi-san. They should have written it down like Komi-san, because I would have read that. But anyway, anime is great. It's, at this point, it doesn't even feel like a conscious choice I make to consume. It's just like it's something I love to watch. And once upon a time, I wanted to be a voice actor. Kind of still do. And that was because of video games, but to do it in anime, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that was because of Robin Williams, but I love Robin Williams.
Oh boy,
Miss Doubtfire. I learned what voice acting was. It was great. Okay.
Mine was Silver Star Story.
Lunar 2 Silver Star Story. Yo,
yep,
so good.
It was specifically
the singing. The singing intro where she sings. Oh, so good.
No, for me, it was the bloopers at the end of the game when you beat it, and everyone's recording. That was my. I want to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So with that being said, just a quick extra question then. So with Komi-san having such a mental health problem, right?
Sure.
Like, how does anyone deal with this? I know how I would deal with this. I know how I try to help someone deal with this. But, right, his whole thing is just like, I'm going to try and help you. But he's like not good at people either. So, what are we doing? Because in real life, if someone was having the problem that Komi-san was having, if they didn't become a hikikomori, right, and stay home all day, or get homeschooled, or get bullied, or any of the other terrible things that can happen when a person is socially isolated for 3+ years of their life and they don't know why, and they can't communicate with people who can help them, what do you do? Patrick?
Well, let's just say there may not be nothing wrong with that, first of all. 2, if you want to make the change, then there might be a problem. Because if you want to change, like Komi-san, she obviously wants to change, right? Mm-hmm. So that's good. That's her choice. She wants to make the change. And the most harsh answer is that people are going to struggle through with it, honestly. Like, they just got to go through and hopefully, with her efforts being able to, like, write it out on the chalkboard scene, like, like that scene could have ended, the anime could have ended with her walking out and then Hito doesn't write on a chalkboard, right? Like, I could see that being believable, but this is anime and it's like, no, this is the ideal situation we want to do. So I think in most cases, the anime version of this wouldn't happen and Komi-san would have walked out and Hito would have done anything. But then you would like to believe, like in this anime, that he does something to help her. So it's a really tough answer because I think most of the times, people are just going to have to struggle and learn with it. I know Cori is probably more well adept to learning and well learned to assess certain situations. But for me, without saying this, giving the cliched answer of trying your best, date bayo, I mean, I don't really know what to say. It really is tough, right? Like, I'm not going to be here and say, do your best, believe it, take small steps. But then, it's sort of like bottom tier character Tomazaki, right? It's like you set these goals, and honestly, writing them down in a book is probably the best thing that I did. Is writing down something you want to do and putting a box on the left of it, and keep putting an X on that box feels amazing every time I do it. Like, but that box may not be unchecked in a couple of months or years even, but when I do check that box, I'm like, yo, I did it.
Make a bullet journal.
And I think for me, what I've done is just, like, Komi-san, like, that's how she communicates, is writing down stuff, and, like, she doesn't want to actually hear her voice, because a lot of people, that's totally believable. People don't like the sound of their own voice, right? That's a classic thing. I didn't like the sound of voice, but now I'm doing podcasts with you guys, and it's okay now. But, yeah, so that's kind of the thing, is you take small steps, and it's similar to like with people wanting to lose weight or quit smoking. You can't just do it the next day. You have to, like, if you smoke like a pack a day, if you smoke 12 cigarettes a day, smoke 11 the next day. Don't just quit cold turkey, right? And then the next month smoke 10 packs a day. The next month smoke 9 cigarettes a day. So, like, you slowly wean yourself off. And I think for Komi-san, that's what the show is doing, is she's writing down her thoughts, and then Hito is going to be like her therapist, I guess, trying to figure out how to communicate. And me just saying that makes me want to watch the show even more, because I want to know how he does it. So I'm going to continue to watch this show 100%, because I want to know what techniques he does to help Komi-san cope with speaking, I guess. That's my long-winded answer. Go to you, Vicky.
It's almost like if you're in the situation, you need a support system that will help push your boundaries, but not take you over the limit of what you could do. Because it's kind of like she wants to communicate, but she's scared to. So Hito finds another way for her to communicate, and it's like years of stuff just comes out of her, and she kind of does need a therapist, because it's kind of like a speech therapist, something like that. He's, like you were saying, Patrick, he's acting as her therapist, because he was like, we got to do vocal exercises.
Yep.
And I almost wonder if, like, at the end of this show, it's just going to be, she still doesn't talk as much. She just becomes, like, more used to people, and they become used to her and her style of communicating. Because she doesn't have to talk, but I think she wants to, because she thinks that's what everyone does, but there's other ways of communicating. And sometimes it's just, you have to take a step and be brave, like if you want to sing, but you're not sure that, you're a good singer. You could start with karaoke, and then, like, grow from there. But in real world, I don't know if anyone would notice if they're not absolutely beautiful like Komi-san. Like, and even then, no one noticed except for this one ordinary boy who can read the room, apparently.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, as the anime makes very clear, it's not that she is wrong or anything for not wanting to communicate. It's that she wants to and is struggling. And so if she wants to be by herself, cool, fine, that's great. But if she's trying and failing, that is where it gets diagnosed as a disorder, right? And it's clear by all of the things she wrote on the board that she has racing thoughts, right? It's not like she has like all these thoughts and then she used them all up. It's that she just constantly has the same kind of negative thoughts that prevent her from speaking, right? And she gets stuck in that cycle of not being able to say what she wants to say. And then when she's trying to say it, she thinks to herself, I need to say it. Well, I'm not saying it. Well, now I haven't said it. Well, I can't say it now. Well, I should say something else. But now, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And so the simple truth is that a lot of people are anxious. A lot of people who like anime can be very socially awkward, anxious.
And
people.
there it goes.
And so part of the benefit and the allure is obviously seeing the characters work through their problems. Part of the benefit of the show is seeing a normal dude who's a little bit awkward help someone else who's like unbelievably beautiful and blah, 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 who also has problems, work through problems, and then they can grow together, blah, blah, blah. That's why it seems like it's going to be a romantic comedy. Mm-hmm. But, in real life, when people don't have any way to communicate that they are struggling, then they don't get help. So you need to find that balance there. So she was able to find somebody who was able to give her enough time so that she could write it down and tell him, right? Because she wasn't doing that before. Like her problem solving was to leave, not to tell someone in a new way. And being creative in your thinking is how you solve problems that you haven't solved yet. As I like to say, if I knew how to solve the problem, it wouldn't be a problem. It's a problem because I don't know what to do, right? No one walks into the room, and this is just my cry for everybody to be more empathetic. Nobody walks into a room and says, I keep messing up, and I know how to fix it, but I won't. Like, they may know what they're supposed to do, but they're not doing it. And the problem is that they're not doing it for a reason that they're not able to address at that moment, for some reason. It may be on purpose, it may not be on purpose, it's usually not. But the issue is that if I look at Komi-san and say, oh, she doesn't want to talk to people because she doesn't talk to me, that's an assumption I'm making based on what I don't know, which is why. And if she doesn't tell me why and won't tell me why and can't tell me why, then it doesn't matter what I think. Nothing's going to change. So it's that complicated of finding out who wants help and if they're ready and then what they're willing to do to make it better. And so it's always that give and take back and forth. And the fact is that because she'll write it down, progress can happen. But the moment she stops trying or gives up or gets overwhelmed, well, that's a pause for the day. Maybe come back and pick it up later. But that's really, from what I know, the show is supposed to approach it mindfully with consideration for the fact that this is a problem that people can and have had. And I've definitely worked with people who have not been that bad, but have been bad. And so it really is about getting them to a point where they stop having racing thoughts as much, start using positive reinforcement, telling themselves that they can do it, and stopping the racing thoughts because that's what's stopping them in the first place. So you get from that point where they're always thinking negative to the point where they just are able to pause. And then they can keep going, but you don't want them to. But at least when they pause and have a moment, they're not frozen. They're just calm. Because generally speaking, it's not that they don't know what to say, though we tend to say that when we are anxious or overwhelmed. It's that we have all the things to say, and we can't choose, or we don't choose, and we struggle to figure that out. And so with Komi-san, that's really presented that way, that she just has all the thoughts, and then she tries to say it. She tries to say everything at the same time, but then is afraid that anything she says is wrong, and that it'll cause more problems, versus just being confident, which is, something that people can be, and being like, I'm just going to see what happens. But that's easier said than done for some people. Other people, it's just like, yeah, whatever. And those are the confident people, and good for them. but then you have everybody else who's got to figure out their system to get there. So it's a challenge. It's a super difficult thing. And I think that most people have a different way of looking at it based on their experiences and who they meet with. But as always, I just want people to be empathetic and understand, like, people struggle for whatever reasons. They don't know how to fix it, and maybe you don't either. That doesn't mean it can't be fixed, but it does mean that you might need to go find somebody who can help you figure it out. Because the only person who can do the work is you. The only person who can help you is you. But that doesn't mean other people can't be there to help bounce ideas off, to practice with. And that's where Tadano comes into play. Because if he's not there, and her parents aren't helping, or she's not able to find someone else out in the world, then how's she going to practice and get more comfortable in her own skin? And that's why I watch anime.
Ooh. Anime teaches you stuff, guys. The good anime is like, yo, even though Naruto is an annoying kid, you gotta believe it, man.
And if you want to kill a dude with 7 holes, you can do it.
But then, okay, that's Fist North Star reference. But I think one example, and you guys let me know if this makes sense, that if you go into a restaurant and the menu has like 5 items, you're like, oh, 5 items. I'm gonna take number 4. Thank you. But if you go into a restaurant and this restaurant has 1,000 menu items, you're like, hold on, let me read all 1,000 of these items. I need to know each specific detail, each ingredient. Maybe I gotta look at the price. What sauce options do they have? And that, for me as well, I think a lot of people can relate to that. Is even if that's not even you, just the thought of an option of 5 different items versus 1,000 different items, you have to know that the analysis process, choice of options is just so baked into the material. You just have to look through these items if you really want to get the experience you want. But if your options are 5 options, you can make a decision probably more easier than if you did have than on 1,000. So there's kind of like that point where like you want to say a lot of things, but maybe you just don't know which option to pick. You know, like imagine if a visual novel had 1,000 things you could say. You're gonna be pressing the down button and be like, should I say this? Should I say this? But they gave you 3 options to say in the visual novel. You pick one, you move on.
Wait, 3? What visual novels do you got that have 3 options? There's usually
2. Hey, the good ones have 3 because multiple endings, guys. Let's go. You gotta rewind back time. But yes, that's kind of like, I think, an easy example of help like people can understand that concept is it feels like there are more options for people that are in their mind, and it's hard to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be understandable, I think. So.
Yep. Absolutely. Choice paralysis is a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I still prefer having lots of choices. I'm going to read the menu and you're going to be like, order! I'm like, I'm not done. I'm still learning what this means because they didn't translate it and it's in Chinese. It's all pork. Pick one. But what if this one's different from this one, though? Pick one.
This one has broccoli and rice, but this one doesn't have broccoli. This one has brown rice, but this one has bok choy and broccoli. But the other one has rice, broccoli, and bok choy. But then it doesn't have the oyster sauce.
Can I get the one with the ginger and the ham? We don't sell ham. Fuck.
This is why you go to the buffet and have as much as you want.
Or you go to Jack in the Box and you got 5 options.
That's how they get you. Easy.
Yeah, so we are going to watch My Dress Up Darling, which is going to be about as emotionally deep as not this show, even remotely, because this show ain't that deep yet. But that's what we're going to do next week. Any other things? We want to remind people of our social media. We want to plug any more things that Patrick's working on, or should I just recommend that people watch Welcome to NHK?
Ooh, Welcome to NHK.
That's a good one. You can leave us comments on our YouTube, which is Taku Katsu. You can email us at otakukatsupodcast@gmail.com. You can tweet us at 0takukatsu on Twitter. And you can listen to us on iTunes and Podbean at Taku Katsu Podcast.
Yes, this has been another episode of Taku Katsu, where we watch Komi-san Can't Communicate. I am your main host, your bottom tier, slowly making it to the mid-tier character, Patrick, joined by your mid-tier character, going to the top tier, Vicky.
I am firmly stuck in mid-tier at this moment, but making my way up.
And we have the C tier, which is Cori tier, which is a top tier. Cori.
I'm silently sitting here shaking violently as I try to think of what to say and respond because I don't want anybody to judge me because I really don't know what to say. And I don't want people to think they're wrong. And is my voice irritating? Do I interrupt people too much? What's going on? But whatever.
Welcome to Taku Katsu, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.